Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers. This is ANI258, and this is Module 12. And a quick overview of this particular module is that you will create a Mayan exterior game level. You'll create 8 buildings. One of the buildings will be a temple, which you see here. So it'll be the largest building. And we are going to be doing pre-production and prototyping. We're following the same exact steps and procedures that we did in the other modules. Created your courtyard and your sci-fi game level. You're going to create a floor plan, and this will be a larger scale. So let me take you through it. So again, this is Module 12, Part 1. Module 12 is part 1 of a 4-part series. In this module, Part 1, the student will create a first-person shooter small exterior Mayan city game level following the instructions top-down orthographic drawing example as a reference guide. So I'm going to skip all this stuff. You guys can see all that and read all that stuff. Skip down to... So you're going to create a rough drawing, and it could be on any graph paper, or you can do it directly in Photoshop if you want to. And I have a grid guide here that can help you. You will set up your own scale, and I've got instructions on how to do all that stuff. Okay, so that's something that we've been using from our last sci-fi level that you guys can use again. And so you're going to be creating a top-down drawing, and you'll be using that throughout the whole entire 4-part series. So Part 1 is pre-production. And so what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be creating an exterior game level and interior. So you're going to have interior of buildings, and then of course the exterior part where you're going to have mountains around the background, so the player cannot get out. The player is not allowed to get out of your level. And you have a scale size of 800 by 800 as the smallest. Minimum is 800 by 800 feet. And the largest scale you can go is 1500 by 1500, which is huge. So please don't go any larger than that. That's really big. So you're not going to be able to. You got to think about a couple things. Now, when you are creating the top-down view, the orthographic of your level, make sure that you include a waterfall. You need a place in the mountains of the waters coming down into a, you could call it a lake or a river. And I want a river. I'm just going to call it a river that goes through your Mayan level. Okay? Now you're going to design this yourself. This is just an example to help you kind of understand what I'm looking for as far as scale goes. Again, 800 by 800 feet at the minimum, so you need to go in here and figure out which grid squares. So if you do grid squares, which is you're going to have to with this particular assignment, and it will help you, you need to figure out, this is a 25-foot square area. Here's a 100-foot square area. So you guys can look, and you need to do the exact same thing. I need to have scale, and I don't care if it's in your rough drawing or in your finished drawing like this. I need to have scale, okay? So it's got to be in one of these, otherwise I'll have to take points off because I have no idea how big your buildings are, and I've got to have a grid. So I'm hoping that you guys will use in like the graph paper for the rough drawing, and then the finalized drawing you can do this, because together I can see your scale. Okay, all right. You'll still have to have the grid underneath of your finished piece, so you can make sure you understand, you know, what scale your building should be. And it's really important that you guys you get scale correct on this, because if you don't, your level will not look right. Okay, so these are the elements that I need to have in this particular assignment. This is a great example of what I need from you guys. Okay, alright, so scale is very important, so make sure you get your scale correct with the buildings. And so this particular example is a color key and a number key, and this is what I need from you guys, a color key and a number key. So you can choose what you want to number. I prefer that you number the buildings and the rest can be a color key. So you can see that we have water. We need to have a river going through your level, and this particular example shows several waterfalls in here, and then you can see the landmass, and this person even took it further where they have elevation. Okay, so elevation of the land. Alright, so water, waterfall, land, tiled land, or excuse me, tilled land, bridges, pathways, building and structures, and this particular example has everything that I needed to have as far as large objects. Now we have trees and foliage and rocks and boulders, and different sizes of boulders and trees. And this is supposed to be a rainforest, but we have, you know, the Mayans got into agriculture. They were able to move water around pretty good, and aqueducts, and it was really pretty amazing what they accomplished. So it's there's a lot of really cool stuff that you guys can do. Again, you're gonna create your own level. This is just an example, but you're gonna create your own level by looking at references. So I'm gonna have requirements and restrictions on the level that you'll have to follow, but the rest is up to you how you want to do it. And so this particular example has a ball court, medium structure, large temple, residential housing, small temple, medium temple, and pillars. You will have to have 8 buildings. This will not be a destroyed city, so this will be I would say maybe 200-300 years old. Okay, and so we want to see wear and tear. We don't want to see brand new bricks and stuff like that. So we want to see something that has been lived in, if you will. Alright, so that's kind of where we're at with everything, and I want you to watch these research videos so you can better understand the Mayan culture, where they came from, what happened. It's a very old culture, and they lasted a long time, so it's really, really interesting. So go ahead and check it out, and and this will help you with the architecture. This will help you with the terrain, and help you understand the elevations. Again, this is your level, and you can create any elevation you'd like, because I want this to be a game level that's interesting and fun to play. And we'll get through the restrictions here pretty soon. Here, let's take this through, and so I'm going to take you through prototyping. Again, you do not need to go into terrain and start building in terrain unless you want to. I prefer that we start off with a flat plane, and you build your buildings on top of that, and then you can move your elevation down, and you can move your buildings down. But we want basically we want to have your structures to be look as close to the structures that you are going to create. Now you have a choice, and I rarely do this, but because of time restrictions and your schedules, and that we're kind of in the midst of a COVID epidemic, some of you, this is a very large level, and some of you just you don't have the resources to push this level with thousands of trees and grass. I'm going to expect that you have some of that, but the biggest issue that I run into with a level this large is that we have, if we do modular replacement on something this huge, then we run into issues with resource problems, students not able to finish their levels. So what I'm basically asking you to do is to take it a step further with the BSP building, meaning really get those buildings looking as close as possible to the real thing if you can, as far as modeling goes. And Unreal 4 is not a modeling program by any means, so some of you may want to take this time. And I've had students ask me if they can model the buildings, and just understand that if you do that, I would only recommend doing it to the large temple, since it has a real distinct shape, and you can use that as one of your assets, because you'll have to have 4 assets that you have to create and put into the level. And again, that's really up to you. But I've had students replace the BSPs with modular systems that they've created themselves, and they went all the way. They really wanted to do this right, which I totally agree with. But I understand some of us just don't have the resources to do that. So I'm allowing you guys to go ahead and use BSPs for this level because it's so large, and that you're able to go ahead and texture or add materials directly to the BSPs. Now, I normally would never do that, but it's just we're kind of in a position where some of us just don't have the resources to push some of these replacement modular systems that can really slow Unreal down and crash it. So, and we need to add trees and some grass, and we need to make this look like a workable level and realistic level. So again, if you do end up building BSPs, take it a step further and add as much detail to those BSPs as you possibly can. Stairs will need to be the stairs, they need to be Geo Stairs, meaning that when you go into Unreal, you use the geometry, not the shapes, the geometry for the stairs, and you can get that set up. You'll need to create your own bridges, and I prefer those to be modeled by you from scratch. I'd prefer those to be modular pieces. Maybe you could make sure you do that, because they don't look right if you just have BSPs. So probably go a little further with that. Again, I'm not looking for terrain to be built, because that'll be in Module 13. But I do expect all the buildings to be completed with windows, and this person did not have the windows and doors finished. But it's still a great example, because that person actually did the terrain. You can kind of see ahead of time what we're going to be doing in Module 13. But again, I don't expect this in Module 12. Okay, all right. Again, I even say it up here. You don't need to have to create texture or the terrain. We're just blocking this out. But we need to have doors and windows. I need to know where, and you need to be able to go inside. So you'll have to make those BSPs hollow, and I don't want the walls any thicker than 1 foot thick. Okay. So some of these buildings are very thick walls, and that's okay. You can add a little more thickness. But again, the smallest buildings, the scale building, is basically 40 by 40. Okay, so I want to reiterate that you'll have to have 8 buildings. Okay, 8 buildings of different sizes. That means you're not just taking a building and duplicating it over. They have to be different, totally different sizes. So keep that in mind when you're doing your orthographic view. Okay, when you're doing your top-down view. All right. Okay, so requirements and restrictions. Okay, we kind of went through it a little bit, and requirements basically are this: is that you need to have a game level that's no smaller than 800 feet by 800 feet. We call this the sandbox size, and then the largest we can do the sandbox is 1500 by 1500. Now you can change this anytime. Let's say you do 1500 by 1500 because you think, I can do that, no problem, and then find out you can't do that. You probably want to find out here in this module that it's way too big, and you've actually got too much room that you have to fill up with trees and stuff like that. So make sure you understand that that can be a problem. So remind game level minimum of 1 large temple and 7 buildings. They need to all be different sizes. Now you can see in this example here that she's got a lot more than 8. So once you get past the 8 different sizes buildings, then you can add more buildings, and they can be the same size if you want. I don't care. We just need to have 8 that are not the same size. Okay, because I just don't want you duplicating things as fast as you possibly can. We need to have 1 river that runs through the level, 2 bridges, mountain range around the entire level, pathways connecting every building. We need a waterfall. We need to see large boulders, rocks, grass, trees, different types of foliage, and different elevations throughout the level. You can't be perfectly flat. You can't use your flat level that we start off with to get the buildings upright. So that will have to be replaced by some kind of terrain. Okay. Now, the only mountainous area will be around where the person cannot get out. We do not want the players to get out of your level. Okay. Alright, so I have here that we have need to have 8 different sized buildings. Each room will need to be set dressed differently. That means you just can't select, set dress 1 and duplicate all your set dressings over to the next one. Okay, you got to have some type of theme, okay, of your building. Okay, what was it used for? And that's kind of the research that you need to go into when you're looking at your architecture. So when you're creating your mood boards, you're going to have 3 separate mood boards for me again. Okay, you're going to have a focal point somewhere, and again, this is your level. You can put it anywhere you want to, but you need to have a large temple, and you're going to be spending some time on that temple. Okay, but this is considered a small city level. 800 feet by 800 feet is not very big. I mean, in real, in real units, in the real world units. So 1,500 feet by 1,500 feet is just, it's big. So you'll see that when you get into Unreal 4. The building size requirements, well, the only thing I'm asking is that you don't have a building scale that's smaller than 40 feet by 40 feet. Okay? That's the only thing I ask. You can add any hallways you want, and the size of those hallways can be, you can't have them any less than 8 feet. Okay? The mine theme and style is required and must be consistent throughout the entire level. Okay? You need to understand that each building has to have an entrance and an exit. Please add windows if appropriate. You're going to be required to create 2 portals and 2 jump pads, which are fun to use. They're technical to create. We can use blueprints for that. I'll have, we're not worried, listen, we're not worried about that right now. You have to understand, I have to put the requirements in here right now. Just so you know it's coming doesn't mean you have to have it done, obviously. You're only going to have your prototype done, and we're not going to really do the portals until the very end. But I want you to be thinking about how you're going to use them, okay? Alright, so what I don't want you to do is just throw portals and jump pads around in places that doesn't make any sense. Why did you have me portal to this area of your level? Is there a reason for that? Was there a strategy for that? And same with the jump pads. So you got to have some kind of a strategy to put me in that spot. What was your strategy? Is there something there that I need to see, or is it an important spot or an important place? So that's important. Every hallway and corridor must be appropriately set dressed, and it needs to look like it's lived in too as well. Okay. All right. So we need 4 types of level and 4 types of cover in this throughout the level. And the level needs to be easy to navigate, visually interesting to look at, set dressed in a way that looks lived in and used and fun to play. We need to have lighting. in all the rooms, so I can grade that properly. You're going to need to have a 30-second plus walkthrough of your entire level. And you're probably going to be going a lot longer than that, so make sure you compress your video at H.264 XVID. Again, the rough draft of the floor plan, a cleaned up version of your floor plan, and a prototype of the entire level. Now, I'm not looking for terrain, so don't worry about that. Okay, so you guys can look at the course assignment. I don't want to spend too much time on that since you guys can read that. Everything's written up for you. And I need you to watch this movie from start to finish. It's not very long. It just takes you through the prep. It's very quick. How to prep your level for this assignment, Module 12. This is what I'm going to grade you on, so make sure you read that very carefully. It's really important to know exactly what I'm grading and how I'm grading. Turn-in instructions, pretty simple. Just go in there, and I've got some examples here for you. Again, these are just examples, and again, because of space and the limitations I have on Canvas, that I'm not going to be able to include all of the interior room screenshots. Obviously, you guys know we've done that from the Module 1 start, where you know what I'm looking for as far as interior. And so here's just one architectural mood board that I need you guys to get into, and I need it fairly large. You guys, some of you have been giving me very small dimension, resolution images, and I need, if you have a bunch of images, it's very important that you have a larger palette or template that you can lay things on. If you're using PureRef, don't turn in PureRef. Please save it out as a JPEG, or go into Photoshop and rearrange them. Okay, it's important that you give me a JPEG for that. And here's the rough draft drawing that we've seen before that you need to turn in, and then your finished drawing with the color key and the number key and scale added. Now, because this person had the scale in here, I let it slide, but you really need to have your scale on your color key. Okay, I need a top-down view of your level. Obviously, this person went further than they needed to, but that's okay. The question is, I'm just only needing just the block out of what your level looks like, and then the next module 13 we're going to get into creating sculpting the environment. Okay, so I need a basic corner, each corner of screenshot of each corner of your entire Unreal level. Okay. All right. So I wish you the best of luck this week. There's a lot of work to do. Hopefully you guys get started right away. Don't get started too late. It's just a big level. I don't think it's a hard thing to do. It's just a lot of stuff to go over. Alright, so make sure you watch. These are very interesting videos. Please watch those. They're in HD resolution, so and they're well done. So please watch those. It'll give you some insight on the architecture and some of the really cool things that they've done. And the more research you do, the better your level will look. So don't skip that. Make sure you hit that. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys in Module 13, and have fun.